Hello and welcome back once again to Patrol Gripply's Top 5 Most Wanted for LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed. Now today we're going to be coming to you with a special Top 5, which is underwater themes. Now this was originally made a while ago, I just never actually got around to completely finishing it, because that time I was really excited because they're talking about we're going to be going underwater, and it was getting me really pumped because I really like some of the underwater themes. There's two of my top 10 themes of all time, so I was super pumped. And then it was talked about that was going to be an underwater IP, so third-party stuff, maybe SpongeBob, Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever, and it kind of killed lots of interest I had in doing this series, and especially of this video. But due to some recent things, I decided I would go ahead and revive it from the dead and actually finish it. So let's go ahead and get on into it, shall we? Now, there's actually not too much variety here. You have, I believe, only 3 themes, and one of them was kind of like a classic LEGO theme with 5 different sub-themes, and I'm counting those as themes in here, even though I have the other 2 kind of listed the same way, because they're not all exactly from the same kind of like main theme like castle, pirates, and space is, but I'm kind of treating this as the same. So there's only actually like 7 to choose from, so it was kind of interesting to make this top 5 video. But we are going to go ahead and get into it. First up, we have Hydronauts. Now, these were actually called Aquanauts, I believe, in places outside of the United States, even though that was also a previous theme. I think this was one of the last 2 themes they had actually released under the Aqua Zone main theme. But these were actually called Hydronauts, at least in the United States. I think that's probably what they would call them elsewhere, too, to kind of differentiate them from the original Aquanauts. But I just kind of think these designs are just really cool. Also, I will admit, I totally chose them because I really like the color blue. That's what kind of gave them the edge over some of the other stuff, because I was never really around for any of these. So I don't really have the most attachment to any of the Aqua Zone figs or like different themes over the other ones in particular. So I just kind of chose these because I like blue. I like the look of the armor. The translucent helmets are kind of cool, and also the face prints are very cool. These are actually a good guy faction. To me, they look kind of like bad guys, but you could have them maybe fill whatever role you wanted to in the actual game. The lore behind these people is they were hunting for different, I think, crystals or treasure underwater. Their enemies were the Stingrays. But I just really think they kind of look a little cool. Also, one of the kind of gimmicks was the sets use suction cups instead of magnets, which just sounds horrible to use, because that just sounded that was going to work very well. But I think you might could do some kind of cool things with maybe working some suction cup type things into some of their abilities. They will have kind of a hard time coming up with like exact who should be what with roles for here, because lots of them are all underwater in diving gear. Maybe with or without harpoon guns. It's not like any really stand out as much of a tank. Probably attacker, support. Sure, I could see those. Healer, you might could work one of these into a healer, but they kind of look like they probably should be attackers. Maybe you could have them as a tank. I don't know. They do like they have some extra armor compared to some of these other guys. So I don't really know what role would serve them best. But I think it's maybe working some suction cups or something into it. I don't know. Maybe you have like you shoot an attack that kind of does a suction cup to an enemy, and maybe like it leaves them marks. So if they get stealth, you can still hit them because you're suction cup to them. I don't know. Or you suction cup them to the ground. I don't have much history with the suction cup system. I think that would be cool to work that into the kits somehow. Next up, we have the Stingrays, which were the enemies of the last theme. These are actually mutants. I can't remember if they were mutants, aliens, whatever. I knew they weren't like exactly standard human. As you probably can tell by the faces, there's something special under there. But I just really think these look cool with the helmets. Also, the body pieces look, I think, really cool too. That extra armor there. And mutants just work something else into the game. I don't know, maybe have them be tagged as spooky. I don't know. I mean, they look like they might be kind of spooky if you took off the helmet. There'd be some funky synergy there, maybe with a spooky team. But these people were the bad guys that were trying to steal whatever treasure the Hydronauts were trying to acquire, and all of their vehicles were kind of themed after aquatic creatures like octopus, manta rays, sharks, that sort of thing. Which I think would be kind of cool. Maybe bring in some of the smaller builds to kind of attack or something. Or maybe you could just bring in some different oceanic creatures to attack with them. I don't know. I'm thinking probably these guys, my own opinion, would be either attacker or maybe tank. Like they have like more bodies kind of made out of metal. They could handle or work well as a tank. Although I guess it maybe could even be some kind of funky mutant healing stuff. I don't know. They release some kind of gas or something out of the tanks. Who knows? Like I said, I'm not too familiar with these. I think you have to be extra creative to come up with full-on roles for these. I might go back and do it at some point, but it's just right now this is just, you're not filling as much of a niche as you are with some of the other themes that already have some stuff built. And like I said, these people are really out there, but I think they would be really cool to have due to how out there they are. Number 3, we have the Atlantis Divers. I really like this thing. Atlantis I thought was pretty cool. Had lots of cool builds and some cool different figures with it. You had these diver minifigures, but I really liked the new diving apparatus because that was, I believe, new at the time. I like the big bubble you have for the face. The whole like oxygen tanks at the back is a little bit bigger and you can build some stuff onto it. This is actually a little bit of variety because I kind of remember some of these different figs. You have on the left there some sort of doctor, I believe he was more like a fish doctor or like fish scientist. He's one of those like the Dr. Kelvin, not actually really a doctor. You don't go to them, I believe, for medical advice, but you might could have him be the healer because he's a doctor. I think he's like Dr. Fish or something. You have the captain over there next to him with the eye patch. I'm just like giving him a sort of piratey tag because he looks like he could have been a pirate at one point in his life. But he was the captain of the expedition. You had the guy next to him, I think was just kind of like one of the fighters or like second in command, Ace or something was his name. I don't really remember them all that well off the top of my head. They didn't have like the biggest lore. They just kind of started off that way, but then it kind of went away as the theme persisted, sadly. Then you have, I think she also maybe was a doctor, scientist chick on the far right there. She's also a chick, so if you want a little bit more of like diversity, you could pick them. Really, there's not too much differences between any of them, just besides kind of like the face and maybe some of the usage in some sets, because there was some sets they had like different things attached to the armor, so like it might not be that same fig ever used that, but you probably could use the same diving suit. But you might could have left or right maybe sort of a doctor, they're scientisty. I feel like it might could work, and they have like doctor in the name. To the middle, probably decent attackers. I also think they could work pretty well as like a support thing, because there was a particular set that did have like a big propeller basically to the back. It was just kind of a big propeller attached to the back of the oxygen tank setup, and that could maybe be cool. Maybe give them some sort of speed buff. You might could have the whole underwater team be about going fast, even though that seems kind of weird. But so is King's Court Castle, and I don't think Castle is being normally very fast, but maybe have it something like they bust everybody with like gives them speed up, maybe gives them some pep or something like that. I think it also had like some lights on the side. I don't know, maybe also like disorients enemies or something. It also had a whole bunch of, I think, cameras underwater. I don't know, it might bring out a camera and flash somebody and like stun them or something. Yeah, a whole bunch of things you do with the kits there. And there's a whole bunch of different underwater pieces of equipment. You can have them maybe summon in for an attack or an ultimate or something. Lots of different weapons they had there. Although I think this might be the best figs to have as a healer unit for this theme. Next up we have Aquarius. This is like my top 3 favorite themes of all time. It just kind of fluctuates a little bit with Castle 2007. I actually own every single set from this theme. I thought it was very good, although I mean, why would you own all of them if I didn't think it was pretty good? But some of the variety of figs, it wasn't too much. We had a couple different facial expressions, but you basically had them in scuba gear or without scuba gear with a toboggan on, and they were like piloting a sub. I mean, it could be kind of interesting to have them without some of the helmets on, so we have like a little bit of a different look there. Still tag them as underwater, maybe to be able to do a couple different things with them. But overall, I think I could choose either of these designs, although I think it would be kind of cool to bring back that scuba gear stuff, because it does really stand out to me as iconic, because I personally really like them. But what I'd probably have any of these figs would probably be an attacker. Ideally, I'd probably also give him an attack where that harpoon gun up at the top right, that Tiger Shark attack set. I would probably have them build that and attack somebody with it, and it'd probably have it be like they harpoon them so that person like can't go stealth or something. It's kind of like maybe a buff immunity. I mean, maybe you even do it with buff immunity, puts it on them, but I'm thinking more like it would allow you to track them through stealth or whatever. It's kind of like it mocks them, maybe also gives them vulnerable, debilitate, something along those lines. Then that would be really cool. But since this is all about kind of finding treasure underwater and attacking giant sea creatures that attack you and destroying them, I feel like Aqua Raiders would have to kind of be an attacker fig, and I feel like a lot of the stuff they have really backs that up. A bunch of harpoon guns, big attack subs. I would love to see that particular, I think the Trident attack sub come into action as one of the abilities. Maybe it just comes in and blasts somebody, or the cost to see it being an ultimate. But maybe come down a little bit. Although I'd also love to see the big sub from the crab attack maybe come in from ultimate. You summon that and have an animation of like a sub swimming through the ocean and firing its big cannon at somebody. I think that'd be pretty cool. Finally, the number one most wanted for me is the Atlantis creature figs. Atlantis, I think the biggest seller in my opinion for that theme was the enemies. Now sure, you had a couple really cool brick built creatures, but they were actually some minifig creatures that all were pretty cool. Off the top of my head, you had a Sharkman, you also had a Hammerhead Sharkman, you had a Manta Ray person, you had a Squid person, you had an kind of like anglerfish person, like a big mouth, you had a crab person, and then you also had the Temple Guardian, which that might be like maybe the coolest and easiest one to add in, but I would really love to see somebody that's actually a creature. Actually have them be added in, maybe even give them spooky, I don't know, or give them like a cool creature tag, so maybe make a creature team at some point. But they stand out and are lots cooler, but most of them would probably need lots more animation work. Sharkman, which I included on here, might be a little bit easier because only really unique piece there is his head, but like the crab person, I think there's sometimes called a lobster or shrimp, I call it a crab myself, with his special claw hand pieces, short legs, and that whole unique body part there that I think goes over his regular torso. That's a lot of stuff to have to actually animate there, and the squid person I think looks really cool. Lots of tentacles there at the bottom, might be a little bit too big to take up the spot of a regular minifigure, but I think both of those would look really cool, but might be a little bit harder to work in the game. So I'm kind of thinking more maybe Portal Guardian or Sharkman. And I think these would be really cool to add in, give you something different besides some divers. For the ones I have included on here, Sharkman of course will be an attacker. The crab would probably be an like offensive tank, or maybe just make him be like an attacker that's maybe a little slow and is just like really strong. So it's not like he's really a tank; he just can actually tank a lot. But you'd probably have him like with his claws be able to debilitate some foes, like or make them vulnerable or something. Like he breaks the armor, maybe he can remove some any defense up or something when he hits people. The squid, probably have them be an attacker too. Maybe we can give some like multiple attack stuff, take like effect of all the tentacles. Maybe also use something like his ink thing. Maybe could stealth people. Maybe similar to kind of Lloyd. I wouldn't ideally make him a tank, but maybe it's something kind of like Ghost or Scarlet, where he kind of protects them when they go low. But maybe his thing is just he gives that particular fig stealth whenever they reach 50% or something. Maybe have him be like an attacker otherwise, or maybe just make him like a support one, but he kind of does that. Maybe also shoots ink at the enemies to kind of blind them. Of course, all these figs also have a trident too for some attacking, because they all carry the tridents. The Portal Guardian would probably have him maybe be an attacker or tank. I think he has like the armor for it. I think he would be maybe like a good one to like beat his trident on his chest and like gain taunt and have maybe people some come up and attack him, maybe give him some payback too or something. Although I don't know to say every single tank needs payback, but I am a fan of that as a castle main. Might come back later and actually make a top 5 for the Atlantis creature figs. There's lots of variety you could do here. I think lots more variety, sadly, than just choosing some other like Aqua Zone figs. So the lots of them are kind of similar if you're not a fan of that theme. But here, these like immediately stand out. Like Sea Shark Guy and Squid Guy, those are very different. Portal Guardians, very different. So these are why this is easily my most wanted for an underwater theme. Is these figs are just really cool and really unique. So, who would you pick? I would like to know, are you a fan of Aqua Zone and would want 5 figs from that? Screw Atlantis, screw Aqua Raiders, even though there is a sub-theme of Aqua Zone also called Aqua Raiders. It's very confusing there. I mean, less confusing than it is with Castle and Castle 2013 and 2007. But I'd be very curious to hear who you would like to see. There isn't too much to choose from here, especially if we did one fig from each of the different themes and sub-themes, you would still reach 7. But I think there's some cool variety you could do with Atlantis. And if you are a fan enough of Aqua Zone that you could easily spot the differences with those figs, definitely let me know. I would love to hear it. This is a thing I was very pumped for before it was announced that the Underwater was going to be an IP deal, because there was just so much you could do here. This would be a really cool expansion to the game, give us an actual different main tag besides the core 6 we've had ever since this game launched. And I would really love to see this game get an expansion along the lines of this, with giving us some actual different other things. So until next time, this is Tor Gripply signing off. Goodbye and a wonderful day. Bye bye.